Hi there, it's Dan here. In this tutorial, I'm going to be looking at how we learn and the different learning styles that we have available. Also, we're going to be looking at some teaching and learning approaches, the types of activities that we can have in our lessons in order for our students to progress and learn. First things first, I'm going to be looking at the VAK Learning Styles model. This stands for the Visual, Auditory and Kinesthetic. Now, some of you may have seen this before and also seen different varieties of this. You may have seen the VARK, where R stands for reading and writing. The V stands for visual learning. Visual learners tend to prefer demonstrations, maps, diagrams, reading and writing, video diagrams, all that sort of thing. The A stands for auditory. The auditory learner prefers spoken instructions, podcasts, video narrations, and listening to instructions. The kinesthetic learner prefers to learn by exploration, doing tasks, creating, experiments, recreating synthesis, all of those sort of practical activities. Now, everybody learns in different ways. We have some strengths and some weaknesses, but to a point, everybody will have a mixture of all three learning styles. It's our job as teachers to ensure that everybody has the best ability, the best shot at learning in their preferred style. How do we find out this information? Some of it is obvious. Some people you will see will excel straight away in certain types of activities, but you can do some sort of questionnaire and tests. This is an example of a VAK test where the learner will get a series of questions that they have to answer and tot up at the end and realise their preferred learning method. The sorts of questions are things like this. When I operate new equipment, I generally read the instructions, listen to an explanation, go ahead and give it a go. All of these sorts of responses we can use to gauge the type of learners that we have. Now let's look at some teaching approaches. The presentation. Information is visually and often accompanied by narration. Great for sharing maps, diagrams. It can be very easy for a presenter to read off the slides and not to interact with the learners, so that's something that we need to be aware of. Training videos are becoming very much more apparent with the new technologies that we have available. We can pre-produce any material and we can control the quality and content as teachers. It does require technical expertise in some degree, but you can also gather pre-made training videos. They're great because we've got visual demonstrations and audible commentary at the same time. Now, a demonstration, this is where a teacher or a learner that has got a good prior knowledge can demonstrate how it should be done. Directed study, us as teachers and assessors may supply a series of resources that the learner can use. Learners can then explore their findings and use it to complete a task or experiment of some sort. Group activities. This is great for mixed ability learners because the poorer ability learners can pick up information from the higher abilities, and the higher abilities can coach those that may be weaker in a certain subject. That coaching process is great for the higher ability learner because they're reinforcing what they know by teaching it to somebody else. Another benefit is it allows learners to work together towards a common goal. Now, some learning approaches. The learner-led approach is where the learner explores at their own pace. They may negotiate their own targets with the teacher, and it is solely at the pace of that individual. Learning by doing, the learner demonstrates and practices what they have been taught. Experimentation, learning via trial and error. The kinesthetic learners in the group will really love this approach. Independent research, learners will locate their own reading materials and use it for their experiments, tasks or assignments. This is really interesting from assessors' point of view because we can get quite a wide array of different materials that come back for marking. All of this is really important to ensure our lessons are fully inclusive. What are the features of inclusive teaching and learning? Well, our lessons should have a range of learning styles. It shouldn't just be one presentation throughout. It should be some activities, maybe some audible explanation. Naturally, teachers will use a range of learning styles, but it's about being aware and making sure that you have all of those. We have to obviously meet the needs of our learners. If we have got learners that have specialist needs, we need to make sure that that's catered for. Inclusive teaching and learning is something that's stimulating and challenging. If it's too easy, our learners will switch off and lose all engagement. In my opinion, the process of teaching is very two-way. We have got to actively engage with our learners, asking them questions, asking for their feedback and opinions as we're going along. All of this helps to make an inclusive lesson. That pretty much concludes this tutorial, and I hope you can use this information when planning your own microteaches. Thank you for listening.